Hey guys, I'm Nisa Homey and today I'm sharing two wheat dosa recipes. Super crispy wheat dosa and soft spongy wheat set dosa. Ideal for those with health issues like thyroid, PCOS and diabetes. Naturally fermented foods like dosa are a good source of vitamin B12. They are also easy to digest and light on the stomach. Whole grains like wheat are full of fiber and nutrient dense, and when they are naturally fermented, they become a perfect healthy meal to include in your weight loss diet. So let's get started with the recipe. Into a bowl, I'm adding in 2 cups wheat berries. These are ordinary wheat berries which I sourced locally. You can easily get wheat berries locally. Wheat contains gluten, as we all know, and in order to make the gluten more digestible, it will be highly beneficial if the wheat is naturally fermented. So that is what I'm going to do in this recipe. To make it all the more nutritious, I will also be sprouting these wheat berries. Sprouting the wheat berries will make it more digestible, the glycemic index will be lower, and the anti-nutrients in the wheat will be neutralized. So into this I'm adding in some water and I'm going to soak it overnight or for about 12 hours. And the next day morning the wheat berries are nicely soaked. So I'm going to rinse it a couple of times and then I'm going to add it into a strainer. Okay, now I have rinsed it a couple of times and I've added onto a strainer. Soaking for a longer period also helps to release the phytic acid content in the grain, and when it is sprouted, it becomes all the more nutritious. And once the sprouted wheat is fermented, the gluten will become easily digestible. To sprout the wheat berries, I'm using a clean cotton napkin. I'm adding the soaked wheat onto the cotton napkin. And I'm tying it. Place it onto a bowl or a strainer like the one I'm using. Sprinkle water all over the cloth just to keep it moist and cover and allow it to sprout. It's exactly 24 hours and let's check on the wheat. As you can see, the wheat berries has sprouted really well. Let me show you how perfectly the wheat berries has sprouted. Next, into another bowl, I'm adding in half cup urad dal, 1 teaspoon methi seeds, also known as fenugreek seeds. I'm adding in some water and I'm allowing this to soak for about 2 to 4 hours. 2 to 4 hours later, the urad dal and the methi seeds are nicely soaked. I'm going to wash and rinse it a couple of times. Now you can see that the wheat berry is very soft and you can easily crush it with your fingers. I have added the wheat berries into a colander and I'll be rinsing it a couple of times. Today I'm using my wet grinder to grind the batter. However, you can use your mixer grinder jar instead. Into my wet grinder, I'm adding in the soaked and rinsed sprouted wheat berries. And once the wheat berries are added, I'm adding in the rinsed urad dal and methi seeds. And then I'm adding in 1 cup or 1 glass of water little by little. Add in pink Himalayan salt as needed, allowing it to grind until it becomes into a nice dosa batter consistency. Once ground, transfer the wheat dosa batter to another container. The batter is fluffy, creamy and airy. You can see how soft and fluffy the batter is. Once it has been added into the container, I'm mixing it really well with my hand. This is very important as it will help with easy fermentation. Remember, there is no cooked rice or poha in this batter. So you need to make sure that you mix it really well as it will help with the fermentation process. I'm going to allow the batter to ferment overnight or for about 8 to 10 hours. Note that I'm not using a tight lid as we need some aeration for the wild yeast to help with the fermentation process. And the next day morning, the batter is nicely fermented. You can see how airy the batter is. It is perfectly fermented, and note that I did not use any cooked rice or poha in this batter. Because it is naturally fermented, the gluten in the wheat is easily digested and ideal for those with health issues like thyroid, PCOS and diabetes. First, I am making a set dosha with this batter. I am heating my cast iron tawa and I am greasing it with wood pressed gingerly oil. Gingerly oil is also known as sesame oil or til oil. Once the tawa is heated, reduce the flame to the lowest and pour in 1 to 1.5 ladleful of the dosha batter and lightly spread it out. Drizzle in wood pressed groundnut oil, or you can use A2 desi ghee instead. Cover and allow it to get cooked on low flame. 1.5 minutes later, open the lid. The small holes on the dosha shows that the batter is perfectly fermented. Flip it over. About 20 to 30 seconds later, flip it over again and serve to a plate. Repeat the same thing with the rest of the batter. And my super healthy sprouted and fermented wheat set dosha is ready to serve. To make crispy dosha, you need to thin the batter. For that, I'm adding in a little bit of water and give it a good mix. And grease the tawa with the wood pressed gingerly oil. Pour in 1 ladleful of the dosha batter and spread it out as thinly as possible. Drizzle in wood pressed groundnut oil, or you can use A2 desi ghee instead. Once the dosha starts to get crisp, see how crispy the wheat dosha is. Perfectly crispy wheat dosha. See how crispy the wheat dosha is. So guys, do try this sprouted wheat dosha recipe and let me know how it turned out. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye bye.